But before that I do, can I have a quick recap of what is it that we were talking about yesterday so that we build on the discussion today? And that's how every session invariably would be. Where were we yesterday? Because I see your syllabus as a sequential progression, or at least the way that I conduct my classes. It's like we built upon whatever is being discussed yesterday to what we'll do today. Anybody for that?
So ma'am, yeah, we basically discussed.
Not good. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Anybody else, please? Apart from Garv, also, I do have 50 people, and that's pretty impressive a number. And I'm pretty sure at least some of you can answer this very well. Yeah? People, please do it. My mighty engineers. Anything that you picked up from yesterday's session? I'm sure for 45 minutes of deliberation, it was. We did talk about assessments, we did talk about textbook, we did talk about how the course is designed, we did talk about how management education differs from conventional education that you have as computer science engineers. Quite a deal. Any few things? Only those who answer gets an attendance. You get an attendance not for being present in the class, but for being participative in the class. And that's one difference that you would always find.
Ma'am, you told how engineering plus management is the hottest cake in the market nowadays, and you told about your background that you come from FSM, which is a top management school. FMS, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Ankur. Thanks. At least I have somebody to begin with. All right. As I already said, we did talk about orienting is important. I'm putting this to death by PowerPoint. All right, and I'll be sharing a slide content. Let's go into it and see what it talks about. But before that, in the meanwhile, any idea who are the managers, what is management, and what is an organization? Definitely going forward, we would have a content and we'll look into the theoretical aspects. We'll talk about the definitional aspects as well. But what is your understanding? What is an organization? What is management? And who are managers? These three questions are open to the house. Anybody can unmute yourself and please go ahead to answer. No right and wrong answers, no strings attached, please. This is a class discussion. It needs to be healthy and interactive, not to be judgmental, and no penalties for wrong answers.
Ma'am, an organization is a collection of similarly skilled people who work together to achieve something. Management is basically how different people in this organization work together, communication. And a manager is the one who is responsible for the management.
Oh, wow.
The the connectivity between all the different people in the organization and the smooth flowing and overall deliverance of the work.
Wonderful, Vishrat. Wonderful. You just summed up whatever I was to talk about well, very nicely, succinctly. Anybody else has any other opinion? What is an organization?
Ma'am, my name isn't Vishrut.
Okay, what it is? My screen actually.
I'm Satyankar.
Satyankar. Okay. Even the Vishrut, I think, was muting and unmuting, so it blinked on my screen. I'm so sorry. Okay. Nice, Satyankar. Very nicely put up. Anybody else has any other opinion? What is organization? What is management? Who are managers?
Managers are someone who sets the strategies for an organization and they coordinate the efforts of the employees and
Absolutely.
they make sure everyone is working to their full potential and all.
All right. See, you never let me down. That's where I said you are mighty people and you are brilliant. You don't need professors like me to, anyways, come and go. You can still do wonders. Absolutely. As we navigate through, I'll keep referring to Satyankar, I'll keep referring to Vishrut. And I'm sorry I didn't give a chance to Garv, and I'm sure he would have also said a similar kind of thing. I'm sure the slides are visible to you.
Yes, ma'am, they are visible.
Okay, thank you. That's a super swift answer and good way to go. We are going to talk about organization and management. As two of you very rightly said, organization is a like-minded people. So somewhere, for example, what you mean by this, I would refer to, for example, Infosys. So everybody with the IT would have an inclination towards the Infosys and being part of it. Hindustan Unilever, which is into FMCG. So everybody who wants to work into the FMCG sector joins onto HUL or a similar kind of companies into that sector, right? So somewhere, yes, people are like-minded and they are being put together into a one company, right, that works in a particular domain. So everybody wanted to work in the airlines might join Indigo, might join Air India, Air Asia, or any others, SpiceJet, and so forth. That's what organizations are. Somebody said that yes, it has a goal, it has a purpose, and we should write. A manager is somebody who oversees the work. Yes, precisely. That's what managers do. They need to see through the work of the employees, right? Somebody who supervises is what we call as manager. So, in case you are being asked a question that everybody who works in an organization is he or she a manager? No, precisely not. As long as you're supervising somebody's work, that's a fundamental distinction between the managers and the non-managers, and henceforth the management is you need to oversee somebody's work, how one is doing. And since it's a group of people, both of your fellow classmates talk very nicely, it's a group of people. That's what organizations are. And it has a goal. Why everybody in IT being put together into Infosys? Why everybody being put together into any other company or MUJ? Everybody has a goal and a purpose, which will subsequently we'll talk through as we navigate through the slides. You'll have a better clarity onto it. But yes, it's a good to begin with. At least you have a fairer amount of understanding what an organization is, what is management, and who are managers and who are non-managers. Right, let's say what the definition talks about. It's a collection of people. You already said it, isn't it? It's a collection of people. You said it like-minded people or a group of people. Nevertheless, it doesn't make much a difference. But organizations indeed are a group of people together to achieve goals, individual goals as well as organizational goals. In the subsequent slide, we'll talk and deliberate at a much length. What do we mean by organizational goals? But to begin with, it's like everybody, just like an organization, just like you, me, and anybody has a dream, organizations also have dream. To be, for example, the number one market player, best in class service provider, or the zero defects company, or the safest car, or the best Italian leather, Gucci and Prada, or the best Swiss watches, Rolex and all premium brands. It could be anything, or maybe the market share increased by 10%, or maybe the top 10 companies by market capitalization, depending upon what one company is working for or what one institution is looking for. They can have various kinds of goals. But for example, NASA, at that point in time, it has its vision and mission articulated as man on moon. Very audacious, very challenging, very motivating. Right? So everybody, just like you and me, have dreams and goals and aspirations. So does the organization. In the terms, as I said right now, either in terms of making profits, either in terms of sales turnover, either in terms of market capitalization, or in terms of zero defects or fastest pizza delivery company, or the best in class service. So that is what a purpose is, and it has to be attained through people. If MAJ wants to be the most preferred higher education destination, it doesn't go back to the infrastructure. Obviously, that helps us. Obviously, we feel happy when we are around because this is certainly a wow factor. But more importantly, it's you and me. Essentially, that boils down to the student, the kind of students that we have, the intellectual stimulation of the student, orientation of the student, the kind of projects that they end up doing, and the kind of word of mouth that they spread around. Exactly, the kind of faculties that they come from, the kind of discussions that they have, how many times do they push students to go out of their conventional zone or the comfort zones and try something more and better. That's where organizational goals needs to be attained. So it's the people who are the central cornerstone for any organization. So organization, basically, if you want to put up as a definition, is a group of people working together for a goal. 3 things and you are done and sorted. Let's look a few more things. This is intentionally coordinated social unit. I'm sure if you would ever want to work for Deloitte or you would ever want to work for Accenture or any of Intel or any other company of your choice, you would be put through a selection process. It's not that yet just because you consider anything as a dream company, you would be part of it. I'm sure you need to be put through a rigorous selection process and henceforth being part of it. Right? So that is where it comes as an intentionally. It is deliberately. It is purposefully created social unit. Why a social unit? Because it does has the people as a major component. Right? So this is a deliberately created social unit. It can have 2 or more people, depends upon, we have startups with sole proprietors, then going on to partnership with 2 people and then the multiple of them. For example, Infosys was a gang of 8 college pass out friends like you, the technopreneurs, right? So that is where you can have 2 or more people that work on a daily basis, day in and day out, every day, right? To achieve a common goal. Most often, how would you find this goal? If you wish to pursue your high studies in management and you opt for a PGDM program, you'll have one of the interesting papers, which is again one of fortes that I take, which is strategy. Why some companies make it successful, why some companies absolutely lose it and they have to wind up the business and just go out of it. Right? That goes back to the strategy. Right? So that is where organizations would have different kinds of goals, which is articulated in terms of vision, mission, and value statement. That is nothing but in the very common parlance, you can call it in company goal. Right? So that is again a deliberate, consciously created social unit or a structure is what you call as an organization. Right? And the goal is important. Now, if you want to understand organizations, you can do it at the individual level. Right? Like why Gav was the first one to join, why somebody is the last one to join, what makes a Satyagraha to unmute and answer, or the first one to answer in class, right? Or what makes it Prakrit to answer. People do certain things, right? They have their individual motivations. Like I see a good strength in the class joining on. It could be anything. You can do it for attendance. You can do it for the heck of listening. You can do it because you are way back your home and their parents sitting and nagging on your head that see you have paid a fee. At least make it a point to log in and listen to. It's worthwhile or not, that's up to you to decide, but at least their parents nagging, so you just join. So there can be a number of things that you end up doing, but what is an individual motivation? It varies for all, isn't it? So you can understand organizations if you can look at the individual level. You can do it at the group level because what we said is an organization is nothing but it's a cohort of people. This is grouping of people, right? So maybe if a sales department is doing it amazingly well and your sales are doing upward spirals, you would like to see why the sales team is doing so well, or why is your product design team not being able to deliver the product features that people would ever want, right? So you can do it at a group level analysis because that's a sum together of total of the individual levels. You can understand even at the organizational level. This is where I suggest people that when you don't listen to your professors, you might end up paying a very, very hefty consultancy fee to the same professors when you are in your own business and you are to find out solutions to the business problems. Because while navigating through classes, they would anyways be doing it. But then once you're passed out and you are on your own, right? And if you want something, teachers can anyways do it. Altruism is high, but still, that is where you need to understand the entire organization is not doing fine. For example, Nokia lost it. Why? For example, McDonald's. It committed several mistakes. We'll go forward. Going forward in the sessions, we would talk about how it completed an entire circle of committing mistakes. So you can see it in entire organization in totality. What makes certain companies very successful? For example, if you look into the strategy world, companies have been doing amazingly fine when they talk about the luxurious car segment, the super elite segment, Mercedes, Porsche, BMWs, and whatnot. And still, India is a classical case of very successful Maruti Suzuki, isn't it? Or why Tata Nano failed? in spite of being so very pocket friendly, because people would not mind buying something which is cheaper, but they don't want everybody else in the world to know that, see, he has got the cheapest car. I know how much is the price tag. That's where it absolutely failed. Wherein so much of money, effort, and everything was at stake, but it failed massively. So you can see at the entire organizational level which strategies went wrong, which processes went wrong, which product designs didn't fly off. Right? So if you want to see the organizations and if you wish to pursue your master's in management, you would see that the organizational behavior is one topic that's characteristically being designed as an individual component. We'll talk about leadership and motivation in your syllabus as well. So that applies to each one of you individually. And then there is a group behavior when I'm a part of a team. How do I conduct myself? That could have an implication, right? In on the performance of the entire team. You must be a cricket fan, right? Or in general, it is cricket is kind of a religion, right? So that's where it happens. It's a team sport. When it was the last match for Tendulkar, everybody just made it a mission for the team that no matter what, they got to do it for this man, because he just can't retire without winning for playing for so many years, but not even a single World Cup being won, right? So you can see it through the lens of entire organizational aspect, and you can understand and arrive at why some organizations fly and why some don't, right? So these are three levels of analysis. Now, organizations, do you think organizations exist in silos? Do you think organization exists in silos? In silos, I mean in their own self. Any takes? Means they don't interact with their environment. Do you think organizations operate in silos, like they are confined to their own self, they don't interact with what is happening around?
No, ma'am.
No means what? They do not exist in silo?
Like they have to interact with the environment.
All right, Rashika. Thank you. Yes, that's certainly. They have to, right? Because even if you are an airline, right, there are so many others who are into the similar business. That's why we call as an industry. If you are a Hindustan Unilever, there are various other companies which are into the same domain. If you are a food giant major, for example, Nestle, there are few others as well, isn't it? So it's not that you are a single player out there. If you are a two-wheeler company, there are many of them, right? So you do exist in a business environment. You do not operate in silos, right? And that is where most of these sources come from. They come from society, like people. If I today start mapping you, where do you come from? I think like in our MBAs, we do have a pan-India representation. I'm sure something more or less can be equally applicable to engineering. Right, so that's where people come from, society. And if I'm a producer of any product and service, depending upon the kind of business that I'm in, maybe I'm a Ola Uber service provider, or maybe I produce a tangible product which people consume. In that context, where does it go? It again goes back to the society, right? So organizations have a very, very important role in the society. We'll deliberate this much in detail when we talk about role of entrepreneurship, why so much is being talked about it. Because when somebody puts up a company, right, as startup, it generates employment. Because in a way, in a process of making money for myself as an entrepreneur, if that be the primary motive why I set up a company, in the process of making money, I'll need more people to support my vision and mission. And then that way I'll start giving out the money and I'll create our employment opportunities. So organizations also have a very, very important role to play in this society, because it goes back to a very simple philosophy. Good organizations goes back to good people. Bad organizations go back to bad people. We have seen, if you put it on Google or the business world, there are examples, a plenty of them, the good ones and the bad ones, right? So they have an important role to play in the society. Can you suggest any of the examples whereby you saw an organization, whatever that organization is doing on a daily basis, it is in conflict with what society is striving to do? Can you recall any examples whereby an organization was in a state of conflict with the society? Any examples whereby any organization was in state of conflict with the society?
Ma'am, currently, like the Myntra company had a conflict with their logo.
True. Good to know that engineers follow up with what's happening around. I'm sure a couple of you also would have had examples. This is very, very latest that Ankur talked about, Myntra and the logo controversy. Well, you can talk about WhatsApp as well and the privacy issue whereby it had to, put up for every national daily. It had to put up that no, it matters because people started migrating to Telegram and Signal, and India is the largest consumer base for the social media and the internet and the mobile users. So that's a huge opportunity being lost. Who would have not known of Maggie, which is a common household name? 20 years of legacy of Maggie was destroyed in a 2 minutes news bulletin. Right, so that's again. And again, a Hindustan Unilever, a very well known major multinational company. Again, it has to put up an exclusive campaign to see the Fair and Lovely is being revisited as Glow and Lovely. Because somewhere it was sparking a controversy that yes, it's creating racial discrimination. Why it has to be fair to be lovely? You can still be dark and very, very lovely, isn't it? So that's where it has to put an entire campaign so that people associate a new name with the previous one. And till the time they are habitual of listening to that, they say your fair and lovely is now Glow and Lovely. Right? I'm sure there would be plenty many examples that you can possibly think of. So organization need to have symbiotic, peaceful, coexistent existence with the society, right? Because the people comes from the society, the products and services get consumed back into the society. So it's a two-way interaction that it has, and they have very important role to play in the society. People and the organization will fundamentally keep evolving. More so, myself as behavioral scientist and the people's advocate will keep coming back and forth to the people aspect. It's simple a garbage in, garbage out theory. What makes a premier B school very different from any other B school? It is the people. Let it be the faculties or let it be the students. Right? Nothing else counts. For example, if you look at the FMS Delhi University campus, it's very crumpled one. It's very small, vis-a-vis compared to IIMs. They have massive sprawling campuses run into few acres. But FMS has a very modest, and that's why it's being called as Red Building of Dreams, whereby for every square inch of the space, you have more dreams. Because when it comes to placements, it does give a beating to ABC. I am ABC, right? So that's it. People are fundamental to organizations. The most innovative organizations, something like Apple, something like Google, the IT company which the IT sector is worst known for the turnover. People leave too quickly. Right? That's the biggest challenge that the IT industry face. Right? But then in Google is the one company which has the rock bottom turnover rates. Rock bottom. How does it manage to? It again goes back to the people and the processes. Disney Pixar animations, very, very high on creativity index. How is it possible? Again goes back to people. Satyam and Ramalinga Raju, again the people and the processes. Integrity loss. Kingfisher and the Vijay Mallya, again it goes back to the people. Right? So that's where people are a very important part of it. That's where even every organization, for example, Infosys being known as the face of middle class of India. Why? Because the founding members of Narayan Murthy and his team, they had ingrained very strong culture of value orientation. So that is where people now learn and behave according to the culture of the organization. I'm sure you behave differently with different professors. You know, this faculty allows latecomers, this faculty allows extension in deadline, and you accordingly adapt. Isn't it? We all do. It's not only you as a student. If I look myself as a student, we all tend to do it. We adapt, isn't it? So the people and organizations are important in terms of realizing the goals of the organization, in terms of the attitude, perceptions, and behavior. I'm sure you'll be able to make out a difference between a good and not so good teachers throughout, right from your kindergarten to your school to your higher education, isn't it? So that's where every organization fundamentally depends upon the people, and there is a two-way influence. Organization culture influences people's behavior, that what is being acceptable and what is not, and vice versa, right? So that is organizations and people, and organizations require management. Like in your class, it's a timetable, so everybody is bound to. But given a choice, imagine 50 people and there would be 50 odd opinions. Since I wake up early, I would prefer morning 9 a.m. class. It's okay. Since I sleep at 4 a.m., I'll prefer somewhere in the evening. Isn't it? People have their own preferences. Since there are different cohorts of people, each one has a very different orientation. It's important that they need to be managed. They need to be coordinated as one of the your excuse me. That's where one of your fellow friend talked about coordinating, because it's multiplicity of people and it's very easy to get derailed out of it. It's important that they are being managed. Somebody tells them that, see, you are doing a good job and you are not, and see, there are deviations and you need to have a course correction, right? So that's how you require, organizations require management, and that's where this paper comes in. You would be much more effective in managing your own self, or if you are managing your team, you'll again be more effective as a manager, right? Again, fundamental to organizations. Some more things about it. Organizations, so these are the three important characteristics of the organization. First one, it comes with the goals. As you see the arrow leading from A to B, goals, as I said, I'll repeat, it could be anything that an organization would want to achieve for. Just like going back to the Martin Luther King's very famous iconic speeches in the world history, I have a dream, so does the organization, right? It could be in terms of best in class service, best in class product, or the most trusted company, or the best customer service, right? It could be anything, but everybody has a goal that an organization is striving to achieve. For the NASA man on moon, or the fastest pizza delivery company, right? So that is a goal. That's very akin to something like GPS navigation when you are into a driving seat. So you tell that I'm at a position A and this is where I would want to reach to B, right? So A to B is a goal management. Organizations have goal. It might be created at the whims and fancies of a founder, and I just want to be a boss of myself, which is very common answer. I was just in a meeting for incubation. Somebody had a presentation. A super senior of yours or a senior of yours, I think it was CSC or CCE, somebody had put up a business plan idea, and I was one of the jury members out there. So it's important to see the goal. What is it that you are trying to do? It's not that you are alone. You might get a high dose of confidence you are alone, but mind it, have a careful look. There are many doing, and one of the best ways when you pitch your business plan, look into the negative reviews. Look at all the pain points that existing companies have and build a solution somewhere that eases those pain points. Read word by word all the negative reviews, and I'm pretty sure the presentation that you would have will come out with much more effective solutions, because that's where it pains and nobody pays any attention to. And if you do, you'll certainly make a business out of it. So that's where the goal is, what an organization is striving to do. The best educational institution, the best healthcare management, the most affordable healthcare cost, or whatever, right? The second comes is the people. Again, the good people, good organization, bad people, bad organization, and how talented they are, how intelligent they are, right? So it goes back to the people. The third important aspect is the structure, which is positional or the graphical representation of who reports to whom. If I look into the slide, I can clearly make out there is one person who is a kind of head, and there are three people who are reporting to it. It can be one manager under three subordinates, isn't it? So the positioning, hierarchical or the graphical chart that I see who reports to whom is the structure that gives a shape to an organization. For example, when you are pitching your business plan for incubation or for funding, you might say that I'm planning to start as a sole proprietor because I'm the only one who's everything whole and soul for this business. We'll talk in detail what sole proprietorship is in the subsequent session, or because we are talking about structure. Or the another thing that you can possibly say, we are two friends who would be sharing the assets and liabilities, and henceforth we are going for a partnership, right? So that gives everybody an idea what kind of organization it is, right? Is it an e-commerce platform, or is it B2B, business to business model, or business to consumer model? What is it that you're trying to do? So that is where organization structure comes into handy. to give a shape to your organization. Who reports to whom? What are the reporting relationships? What kind of organization is it? So 3 fundamental characteristics of organization: the goals, the people, and the structure. Well, the next comes on to the discussion for the necessity of organization. Before that I jump onto it, there are 2 questions that I would have. Can I have a quick show of hands from the people to whom it strikes that I'm a computer engineer, and why this course? Organization and management. If at all it did strike you, can I have a show of hands for the people to whom, even if it was for a split second, but this thought did came to, I'm looking into a timetable, okay, you have Java, you have C++, you have any other language. But then all of a sudden you come across this course, O&M, Organization and Management, and it was like kind of raised eyebrows. Why? 58 people? Okay. 2 of them possibly thought. How about everybody else? For rest all, it was conditioning. Okay, we are a part of this program. Whatever they teach us, it's pretty much okay. I hope others are listening well and they are making a judicious opinion. Is that okay? I didn't shake my head while this course. Or else I need to re-explain my question. They did not understand it at the first place. People stay on there because it's just a 5 number out of 58. Adhyan Pandey, are you listening to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand my question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm a little curious to know, can you please explain why weren't you kind of surprised for this course?
Ma'am, because I already knew that we would be taught this course, this subject.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Anybody who has not put up your hand, you can put your hands down. Kshitij, Ankur, Dhruv, and Kanishk. Divyanshu, even Garv for that matter. Garv, you can have an opportunity to answer here.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I looked at the course handout before, like in the last semester, and I saw that like this course was there, and I looked at the course handout and I saw the syllabus. Then I was like, okay, uh, this is like a technological era right now, and it's a world of tech startups and everything. So this course like will help us in achieve in like entrepreneurship, like in that aspect only. So I thought it was important to us. So that's why it didn't surprise me like to have this course in our syllabus.
Okay. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Thank you, Adyan and Garv. And thank you, the 3 other people who put up their hands. Well, I still presume, even if it is statistics going by that, 4 of the people saying raised hand and rest all not, and not being taken by surprise, I'm still surprised. Well, yes, as an engineer, you might think through, okay, I'm committed for this course of CSC, that's all right. It's the university call. Might have thought of something is important and henceforth put forward. Those 4 people were something like, yes, I intentionally looked into none. I was wondering, like, computer science is all right, but this is out of the way course for me. That is where I believe it's important for the non-CSC teacher to emphasize that why this course is for you. Anyways, you are being taught veg. Anyways, if tomorrow we have any other paper on sustainability or environmental sustainability as compulsory to all, you would be taught. You would take it, there are 2 approaches to it. You would take it because this is part of your curriculum and you are to navigate. No choices. Right? The another one would be you might have a slight understanding and put in pressure to it that why this course. As what Garv said that okay fine he has looked into, and since this is where he saw the gap coming from in terms of technological era and somewhere might help with your entrepreneurial abilities and henceforth important. Right. So that is where it kind of creates a disconnect and discord between purely an engineering paper and a non-engineering paper, and that is where orientation is important. I'm sure when you join your colleges and programs for the very first day, it's always an orientation to let you know what is the program about and why is it important for you to go through. All right. Thank you for answering well. The another important aspect here, This is the only second class whereby I can ask you to use your mobile phones and you are free to use your Google. Can you tell me what do we call a business environment that organizations are currently operating in? Can you name the term that we use to define the business environment that organizations are currently in?
Corporate.
Okay, Satyankar, corporate. All right. What else? I'm only collating opinions, no right and wrong answers. We'll deliberate through. What else, people? Satyankar remains undisputed contender. No contestants around, or maybe people are busy looking for. So just see. Anybody got any answer? Any results that Google threw you up, or anything that comes to your mind? Quick ones. Or at least somebody let me know that we are not Googling anymore so that I proceed with my discussion and don't give a pause.
No, ma'am, like a specific name for a business environment. Okay, it's. I cannot think of anything.
All right. Perfectly all right. It's absolutely all right, but at least I need a head start. Whether should I wait any long because people are trying, or shall I proceed with Sagarika? You wanted to say something?
I think I am not sure. It's like internal and external environments, and then there are like few internal components also given. But I don't think that's what you're asking for.
All right, Sagarika. I always like the people who at least make it an attempt. It's good to make an attempt and to fail, but at the first place, most of us don't even give a try. So all thumbs up for all the three people, smart ones, who at least tried. And I'm sure there are few more who must be trying it, then wanted to make a point to let me know about it. Well, for all the good things, please do come back to me. It's thumbs up to all those people. Yes, we are talking about a business environment. You were close, Sagarika, for the internal and the external business environment that we talk about, what internal strength and weaknesses an organization has and what external opportunities and threat that comes from outside I don't have a control on, right? I only need to manage myself. Well, that refers to a business environment, but a typical characteristic that I'm asking for refers to the VUCA world. That goes back to the VUCA world. VUCA is an acronym, a four-lettered word. I'm putting this into a chat window in case you miss out the pronunciation. VUCA. So this is a characteristic of the business world that we are currently living in, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. This refers to a business world that we are currently in, or the business environment that we are currently in. We hereby refers to like I as an employee of an organization and any organization for that matter. It's very volatile because technology has changed. It's totally disrupted the way that I operate myself. Some of the business models that exist now were non-existent couple of years back. OLX, we at least grew up, we are a generation, I belong to a generation, we grew up with the Raddiwalas coming in every semester break and summer breaks and we'll pile up and sell it off. Right? Now it's OLX. Entirely different business model. Or the Make My Trip or the Trivago or the Air Bed and Breakfast. Things were non-existent. Right? That's where volatility comes into. The next important aspect of the business environment nowadays is the uncertainty. I'm not too sure how long would it exist. I can use best of the smart technocrats like you or the engineers who could work with the algorithms and could have a predictive analysis. We would talk about when we talk about data analysis, I do have predictive analytics working. We were all doing so in terms of COVID-19, that we were planning scenarios. What if so happens? What if it grows at such a rate? What if so many people gets infected and so on and so forth? It was smart algorithms. That was the same thing that an algorithm decided your scorecards in the last semester, isn't it? Without any exams when exams were scrapped. Because people were clueless that how do you conduct it at online first place. That's the uncertainty we are living into, right? The next one is the complexity. There are multitude of factors, as Sagarika said, or the even Satyankar corporate. like the business environment the corporations or the corporates or the companies are in. There are too many of them. If you ask me today about your midterm, I can only say it depends. How many students are actually in the campus? How many are online? And how do we have a hybrid kind of exam? Right? So that is complexity of factors because there are again, as Sagarika went on to mention that there are internal factors, internal further has subcomponents, and then there are external, for example, regulatory forces. Talking about demonetization, it was a blessing in disguise when it came to Paytm. It made a lot of business. Or when it was a recent situation of COVID-19 and work from home. It's the venture, not the VC always come to venture capitalists. Entrepreneurship is so strongly ingrained in me. I'm sorry, this is video conferencing tools. It's skyrocketed. Zoom is a proper dictionary word now. I don't think it existed before that we had it COVID-19. Right? So it was something that happened in the external environment that became a very good business opportunity just by the very virtue of the business that they were dealing into. Wherein for real estate, wherein for the unorganized business market, which is more dependent upon cash transactions, it was hit hardest. So the same event can be positive and negative. That's where the complexity comes into. Ambiguous. Ambiguous to me because in the business world, it's unclear, not too sure. There is an element of doubt. I'm only working on a probability. I could be on a higher side of probability of being successful when I make a decision today in terms of, say, launching a particular product, launching at a particular product features or the particular pricing. I'm only working on a probability of being successful. The better that I've done my homework, better are the chances that I would succeed. But still, we have seen some of the finest products going off the shelves, isn't it? So I still can't be very sure. So ambiguity here refers to the kind of structure that the amoeba has that comes close to ambiguity, or US computer engineers would understand fuzzy as a language, right? So that is where there are blurred boundaries. I'm not clear where it ends and where it starts, right? So that is where the kind of business environment. And the second important concept is US science graduates who want to understand the concept of entropy, which is a natural state of disorderliness. Everything, let it be your wardrobe or let it be your workstation or your desk, everything has a natural tendency to get disorganized unless and until you make a conscious attempt to stay organized, right? In the business world, when there is so much of state of chaos, there is so much of state of uncertainty, there is so much of state of disorderliness. Why do you need organization? So that you can manage that complexity very effectively and efficiently. And that's where the entire essence of the next slide that comes upon and talks about. So it is an increasing size of manufacturing plant, complexity of organizations, methods of production. Look into the mega factories of Discovery Channel. They are huge. It's hundreds and millions of metric tons of production that we are talking about. So in order to navigate that complexity very well, you need principles of organization, you need principles of management so that you manage those organizations well and you just don't become any other organization which is being quoted in the business world as a disastrous example of strategies, right? That is where we need this paper of organization and management, or the very essence of the subject, organization and management. Of course, you need to do it efficiently and effectively. That subsequently will, at least at 2-3 instances, we'll talk upon. This is where I rest my discussion for the day. In case you have any other questions for me, I'll be happy picking it up. Any questions that you have for me?